So I've been talking about this team a little negatively here and there throughout the entirety of the time I've been doing this show. And I just wanted to have a segment on them. Nebraska. So a lot of this to start off here, a lot of times people talk about blue blood programs. And everyone always throws Nebraska in there. And I know I'm only 26 years old, so I decided I was going to do some research on Nebraska and why they're a blue blood, okay? And I went kind of far back a little bit. I went back to like the 40s and 50s, and there wasn't much accomplished there. But then I, was given grace. I was like, okay, 40, 50s, whatever. So then I went to 1970, and from 1970 to 2001, Nebraska was ranked every week of the college football season. Maybe not every week, but they were ranked every year. I just kind of made up every week, but it sounds right. They were really good. They won national championships in 1970, 1971, 1994, 1995, and 1997. Now say what you want. National championships were just kind of claimed back then, but that's 3 and 4 years in the 90s, and then back to back in the 70s. It's huge. They had 70 weeks at number one during that time frame. They're 8th all-time in wins at 932. So they've got more wins than the team I root for, Georgia football. They've had guys like Tommy Frazier, Mike Rozier, who won the Heisman at running back there. Eric Crouch, who won the Heisman at quarterback there. Like, they've had some really big names, and it makes sense. They were a blue blood. Stamped approval. Nebraska is a blue blood program from the 70s to 2000 with all that recognition right there. I've stamped it. You have my approval. I get it. And then in 2011, they joined the Big Ten. They had Bo Pelini as the head coach, who a lot of people should remember, but he had some really good teams. He won a lot of games there in Nebraska, a lot of 9-10 win seasons, which, back in the day used to be pretty good. Had good QBs like Taylor Martinez. I remember watching that guy in the Big Ten championship game. I remember him. He was electric. And then Bo Pelini decided to step down, or he left, whichever one happened. I can't remember. And then they hired a guy named Mike Riley from Oregon State, and he had one good season in his 3, but in 2017 he fell off. He went 4-8. They got rid of him. And then this is where everything started to go bad for Nebraska. So they were 4-8 in 2017. And then they hired Scott Frost, the UCF national championship head coach, Scott Frost. He went 4-8, 5-7, 3-5, COVID year, 3-9. So that 4-8, 5-7, 3-5, and 3-9. And pause for a second. They kept him for another year. And he went 1-2, and then they were like, all right, you're out. You're out. I don't know. I don't know how the, maybe I could get after the COVID year because you don't know COVID's COVID. But then, year 4, you're 3-9, and this guy still got to hang around for, quarter of another season. That's crazy. That is crazy. So anyway, then they bring in Matt Rhule. Matt Rhule in his 3 seasons at Nebraska is 5-7, 7-6, and 7-6. Matt Rhule just got extended as the head coach in Nebraska because they were scared that he would go to Penn State or maybe any of these other million jobs that opened up. Matt Rhule's career records at schools: 28-23 at Temple, 19-20 at Baylor, and 19-19 at Nebraska. So overall, he's 66-62 as a head coach. He is 66-62 as a head coach. I'm just pointing things out here, okay? Just pointing facts. All right. And now we think of Nebraska as the program they are now. They just lost Dylan Raiola, who decided he wanted to go be a backup at Oregon, other than come back and play for Nebraska. Then they try to recruit a guy named Kenny Minchie out of Notre Dame, their backup, and they get him. And then he decides he wants to go to Kentucky. I know NIL's got money and all that, but Nebraska, we just talked about it. Nebraska's supposed to be a blue blood. Kentucky is a blue blood in basketball. And now they've got a guy named Anthony Colandrea. Did I say it right? Don't know. UNLV quarterback. They're basically on their 3rd choice at quarterback. Not good. Not good. Okay, and just some other things I've talked about. So now you go, okay, Matt Rhule. Well, maybe put it together. Everybody talks about 3rd-year Matt Rhule because Baylor's 3rd year was really good. Temple's 3rd year was really good. No one talks about how bad he was as a head coach in the NFL. Recruiting rankings for Nebraska. In 2022, they were 41st, and I believe that was Scott Frost last year. So then in 2023, they were 25th. And I think that's right when Matt Rhule took the job. That was probably his first recruiting class. 14th, getting better. 2025, they were 22nd. So not too bad. Now in 2026, this year, so this portal class or this recruiting class that we just had, that's this year's freshman, Nebraska was 103rd. 103rd. That's a problem. That's a problem, people. So his portal rankings, 37th this year, 2026, 13th in 2025, 2024, 49th, 2023, 28th. So he's had his worst recruiting class and his second worst portal class, and he's heading into his 4th year as the coach at Nebraska. Just seems like a problem to me. Seems like a problem. Nebraska's got to find an identity. They're going to need to find something. They've got to become elite at something. Let's look at the defense. In 2023, Matt Rhule, they were 9th in the country at defense. In 2024, they were 14th in the country at defense. And in 2025, they were 38th in the country at defense. Went backwards. Again, just like the recruiting, just like the portal, went backwards. Their offense in 2025 was 80th. Their 2024 was 93rd. And in 2023, it was 112th. So they have no offense. They just lost their 2 top options at quarterback. They're in a tough conference, and this has not been said, but I will say it. Matt Rhule is a bit of a clown. Just going to say it out loud. His antics are a little clowny, okay? He makes TikToks. He's just not doing stuff that I would want my head coach to do. You think it's going to get better this year? Maybe this quarterback comes in and he's something. Yeah, well, they've got to play Indiana, Oregon, Washington, Ohio State, and Iowa. And I think all 5 of those teams are better than Nebraska. So at best, when has Nebraska ever in the last 15 years, maybe 15 is strong, last 10 years, won a game that they weren't supposed to win? I don't see Nebraska going up right now. Nebraska is going down, and I just told you all these things that Matt Rhule is doing wrong. Everything seems to be going backwards. He can't retain his players. He's not getting better at anything. Everything seems to be getting worse. Nebraska football is in a tough spot. And, I wanted to talk about it because I just find it wild that it seemed like Nebraska was catching momentum, and now they've lost all the momentum. And everyone told me Matt Rhule was supposed to be this really good coach, and I'm looking at the stats, and they're just not backing it up. So, Nebraska, I hope things work out for you. Not really. I don't really care, but I wanted to talk about that. Nebraska football going backwards.